How's your bracket, by the way? How's it holding up?
Honestly, everyone's been asking me to do a public bracket. I just don't want to jinx it because everyone knows who I'm going for. So, I just say like as a public figure, yeah, I just don't want to get dinged. Everyone knows who I'm going for. So I just didn't even want to. It's funny. I really haven't been trying to pay too much attention to everything else, but just everything in my Duke circle, if that makes sense right now. I know it's just everything I'm doing defies convention. I apologize. So,
It's all right. Hey, Ken, Jeff Goodman here.
hey, buddy.
Last game I was at, I was watching you on the sidelines at Duke, and you are so into the game, unlike probably anybody else at Cameron, probably as much as any of the Crazies. Take me back to, you as a Duke student and what it was like for you to go to games then and how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old. I'm in my mid 50s. All right. So I was telling Coach K, I was one of the first Cameron Crazies before, Kville. So this was like, I think 87. It was the first Carolina. It was my freshman year. It's Carolina Duke game. J.R. Reed was playing, and I was camping out before it was even organized. I just literally skipped class and and paid the price. And it was raining that day, and it was heaven. It was like I think it was my first game at just attending Cameron as a student, and I grew up in North Carolina. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I was just hooked from that moment on. It was like JR. I remember it was JR Reed. We had Tommy Amaker. They still had Kenny Smith. It was legends on legends, and just from that moment on, I was just hooked, and I went to every game I could. And I remember in '88 we went to Carolina Duke, and it was I think we had the triple crown like we did this year, beat them twice in the regular season and then in the ACC tournament. So them winning this year, the ACC tournament and beating Carolina reminded me of my sophomore year. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Did you ever sleep in the tents as you got older? Have you ever done that with the students as you've gotten older? I thought about doing it one year, and I was like, I'm too old. I'm too old for that shit.
No, I'm VIPing it now. I'm doing everything I can just to. I'm way too old to do any of that right now. But I was just there for the Florida State game at Cameron, and that was just great. I just love going back and just experiencing the energy, man. It's just nothing like Cameron, and then also just being a Duke student, an actual student there who just blended in at the time. That energy you get, it is I can't, and I'm sure everyone has that when they go back to their alma mater, and watch a game. It just brings you back. And this team is really special. It's the best Duke team I've seen in 20 years. It's just incredible. It's incredible what Shire has done. So, and I'm sure you guys are talking all about it. And I saw the Mount St. Mary's game, our highlights last night, and they look really good. That guy Adebayo, he I don't know if he's related, but he bammed that dunk on that American University guy. It was so good. I mean, I don't think they necessarily have the height that we have, but they were playing with fire. They looked really impressive. Yeah.
What made you want to get into comedy?
Well, the big joke is I went to Duke undergrad, and I went to UNC med school, which is exactly why I became a comedian. So that's just my shot fired every time I talk about Carolina. So I went to Carolina med school, and then I said, screw it, I'll just be a comic. Forget this. But I took my first acting class at Duke, and I never did theater or comedy or anything like that prior to Duke, and I think that's another reason why I just keep going back and giving back to Duke, because it literally, if it wasn't for Duke, I wouldn't have gotten into comedy or acting. So it's just been a crazy ride for me. So by the time I went to med school, I was like, man, someday I just got to do this if possible. So one thing led to another. That's a whole other story. But yeah, if it wasn't for Duke, I wouldn't be an actor. It's kind of crazy. Wouldn't got into comedy. It's insane. I was on a pre-med track, Yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's
Ken,
crazy. Yeah, I can't even believe I have this life. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Ken, Matt McCall here. Give us your favorite Duke basketball memory. If it's a national championship, a single game, what's your favorite Duke memory?
I mean, there's so many because obviously we've won. We won 5, and I don't want. And I think the popular answer would be the 91, 92 teams back to back. But I think as a student, I have to go back to when I was a sophomore at Duke. Like I remember starting my own chant and just getting the whole crowd into it. King Rice, who's actually, I think, a great college coach, but played for Carolina, was a point guard. He was a freshman back then, and he was subbing in, and we were already beating Carolina. And so when King Rice came in, he was completely unknown. And I just did one of those standard Duke chants like, "Oh no, not Rice." And then just got the whole stadium just to go, "Oh no, not Rice." And I remember really being proud of myself until junior year when King Rice was a sophomore and I was there at the game and Carolina beat us by like 28 points at Cameron. So it's all a boomerang. It's all part of the experience.
Ken, how much are you enjoying the Cooper Flagg era at Duke?
Well, it has just been it's been incredible because he reminds me of the combination of Leitner, Grant Hill, and just all the Duke greats combined because he has the poise of a Grant Hill, kind of got that point forward mentality, but just that competitiveness of a Leitner. He's the most mature, complete freshman Duke has ever had. He's a playmaker. He does everything he needs to do when they need to do it. And I've never seen a freshman like him. I mean, there have been incredible freshmen. You talk about Tatum, Zion, Kyrie, but he's the real deal. Just turned 18 in December, and seeing him live a couple of times, the maturity that he brings on the court, it's his decision making his passing is just as good as his scoring, and his defense. I mean, he's just everything. It's just everything. Yeah, it's incredible.
Can talk a little bit about the job that John Shire has done, just stepping in and having to arguably fill in for the one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not the greatest college coach of all time, and Coach K.
No, Shire is a buddy of mine who I've known since he was an assistant coach under Coach K, and what he has done to really extend that legacy that Coach K built for 40 years is just unparalleled. I mean, I always knew he had the poise and the temperament to lead. And even back when he was playing in high school in Chicago, he was known as like Mr. Basketball back then. So I think he scored 52 points in a high school game. He's always had that killer instinct and was, I think he was MVP in 2010 when they won the ACC championship. So he's always had that lead first mentality and was always a leader. But what he's done right now, even in the past 12 months, has been nothing short of remarkable. I mean, to build this team, from relative scratch at the end of last season and to assemble a team with this length and this defense. And that's the challenge right now with college. You have such a short time to glue everything together, because of the transfers, because of NIL. It's harder now to assemble this kind of chemistry, knowing that you have only a year or two to build it. So what Shire has done is nothing short of miraculous, to have an instant chemistry with people who hadn't played together before, and then to have that length. I think to have that, everyone on the team, right? Like the starting five is 6'5", 6'6", or taller. To have that length and for them to be so versatile in their defense, I think has just been, kind of the cracking the code that Shire has done. The length of this team really, really astounds me, is why they can defend so well. Yeah.